I'm Dana. I'm 32. And honestly, I didn't think I'd ever be this woman, the one who sits in front of a stranger, laying it all bare because the truth? It's heavy. And it's not romantic or admirable or easy to justify. For the last year, I've been going out with men I had zero interest in just for the dinners. The steak, the wine, the laugh I perfected in the mirror, the tilt of my head I practiced like choreography. I convinced myself it wasn't that deep. They got a beautiful evening, a bit of hope. I got full. Balanced, right? But then, I got exposed. At work, of all places. By someone who knew me way too well. But I'll get to that. First, I need to rewind. Because I didn't start out like this. I used to believe in the kind of love that takes your breath away. I had that once. His name was Jordan. He had hands that made my skin feel remembered and a voice that made the world go quiet. Back then, even brushing past him in the kitchen felt electric. He'd press a kiss just under my ear when I was chopping garlic, and I'd lean into it, sighing like I belonged there. He'd run his fingers along my spine when we lay in bed, and I'd melt soft, open, his. But somewhere between wanting and having, we got muted. We still kissed, but now it felt more like checking a box. A quick peck before work, lips cold, no weight behind them. He'd pull me close at night, but I'd feel him tense when I didn't immediately mold into him. Sometimes he'd wrap his arms around me too tight, like he was trying to hold onto a version of me that was already slipping away. And I didn't know how to tell him I was already gone. Not physically. No, I still made the dinners. I still texted good luck before his big meetings. I still moaned when he touched me, even when I wasn't really there. It wasn't his fault. I was just craving something else. Not just food. Not just flirtation. Something that reminded me I was still wanted. Still sparkly. Still worth dressing up for. And I found that in other men. Not sex. Never that. Just little moments. The hush of a compliment across a table. The way their eyes widened when I walked into a restaurant in heels. The satisfaction of watching their card slide across the table while I tasted the third glass of Malbec and talked about books I'd only half read. I told myself they knew what this was. That it wasn't a con if they smiled through it. But deep down, I knew I wasn't being fair. I'd always go home alone. Back to Jordan. Back to the man I once adored but no longer knew how to touch. I think the moment everything shifted was a Tuesday. It was late. I had just come home from another client dinner. Jordan was on the couch, in boxers, watching some sci-fi show. I leaned down to kiss his forehead, and he flinched, not dramatically, just a slight twitch. But it was enough. I paused. Our eyes met. He didn't say anything, and I realized I wasn't hiding as well as I thought I was. The woman he used to love was fading, and the one I'd become? She wasn't coming home hungry anymore. And I think that's when I knew I had stepped outside the line. And the worst part? I didn't feel sorry. Not yet. Jordan was a nurse. The kind of man who knew how to find a vein in the dark, calm someone mid-panic, or wake up without complaint after a 12-hour overnight shift. He was patient with strangers, soft with kids, and gentle in a way that always made people assume he had it all figured out. But with me, he was clumsy. Not physically, emotionally. He thought love was shown in the way he brought home my favorite pastries from the cafe near his hospital. Or in the way he reached for me every time we passed each other in the kitchen. He kissed my neck while I did dishes, grabbed my waist while I folded laundry, tugged me closer in bed with heavy arms and a sleepy murmur of my name. And I let him. I didn't pull away, but I didn't lean in either. Because what I wanted, what I needed, wasn't his touch. It was for him to see me again. Hear me. To ask how my day was without immediately turning the conversation to his patients or his back pain or his shift from hell. I wanted to tell him that I felt like I was playing a role I didn't audition for anymore. That I was tired of being this safe place when no one was mine. That I wasn't okay. But it never felt like the right moment. And the longer I waited, the more impossible it became to say out loud. One night, we argued about something stupid. Pasta. He'd made penne Alfredo, his version, which was clumpy and always too salty. I said thank you, kissed his cheek. I tried to eat it. I did. But the taste made my stomach twist. I pushed the plate away. He noticed. "You're not hungry again?" he asked, a fork still dangling from his hand. "I ate late," I lied. He nodded, but his eyes darkened. A flicker of something he didn't say. He stood up, dumped his plate in the sink, and left the rest untouched. That night, he didn't touch me. Didn't reach for me. Didn't even scoot closer when we went to bed. And you'd think that would be a relief, right? But instead, I lay there staring at the ceiling, aching for something I couldn't name. The next morning, I found a note by the coffee machine. "Don't worry about dinner tonight. I've got a double. See you when I see you." That was the beginning of the quiet between us. But instead of filling it with truth, I started filling it with noise. Noise like my coworker, Elijah, loud, funny, always halfway through some outrageous dating story. He noticed my nails when Jordan hadn't. Asked about my weekend. Called me dollface in a way that was more playful than sleazy. He reminded me what it felt like to be watched. And when he joked about us grabbing a drink sometime, strictly coworkers, promise, I said yes without blinking. I told myself it wasn't a date. I told myself Jordan wouldn't care. But deep down, I was already slipping. Not because I wanted Elijah, but because I needed someone to look at me like I mattered again. And Jordan, for all his sweetness, all his warm hands and good intentions, only knew how to hold me. He didn't know how to see me. And I didn't know how to ask. So I kept pretending. And Jordan kept kissing me like that was enough. It started with the way he touched my back. We were standing in the kitchen, me in a robe, pouring coffee into the only clean mug we had left. Jordan came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and kissed the side of my neck. I froze. Not obviously. Not enough to make it a thing. But just enough. He didn't notice. He rested his chin on my shoulder and whispered, "You smell like cinnamon." I gave a small, polite laugh. "It's the oat milk." He didn't let go. His hands began to wander a little, casual but deliberate. I could feel it, the expectation in his grip. That subtle signal we both knew by now. I pulled away, pretending to check my phone. "I have to leave early today," I said. "Big team meeting." "You said that yesterday," he replied, the smile on his face flickering just slightly. He tried to play it off with a joke. "You sure you're not secretly dating your boss?" I tried to smile back, but my throat closed up. I wanted to tell him, "I'm not cheating on you. Not with my body." But what would that even mean to him? Instead, I gave him the soft shrug I'd perfected, the one that meant let's not talk about it. But that wasn't even the worst part. Later that night, we were on the couch watching something I barely paid attention to. I scrolled through my phone under a blanket while he absent-mindedly rubbed my leg. That same motion, slow and circular, always leading somewhere eventually. I used to love that. Used to wait for it. Now, every time his hand slid higher, my chest tightened. He leaned in and kissed me then, slow and open-mouthed. His lips were warm, his breath clean, and still, I felt nothing. Not even revulsion. Just numbness. I pulled away after a few seconds. "You okay?" he asked gently, searching my face. "Yeah, headache," I lied, standing up too quickly. "I'm gonna shower." He watched me walk away. I could feel it, and I knew he wasn't convinced. The guilt should have eaten me alive. But all I could think about was the dinner I had the night before. Thai food. Candlelit table. A guy from a dating app who kept complimenting my laugh and asked follow-up questions when I mentioned my side business. He didn't touch me once. He didn't have to. I left with my stomach full and my ego glowing. And when the bill came, I watched him reach for it without hesitation. That high carried me straight into Jordan's arms when I got home, but instead of comfort, all I felt was comparison. Like every time he kissed me now, he was auditioning. And I was the judge who'd already made up her mind. The next night, we fought again. Something small. He forgot to buy oat milk. But it spiraled. "You've been distant," he said. "It's like you're never really here anymore." "I'm just tired," I snapped, too quickly. "It's not just tired, Dana. You don't even look at me the same." I said I'm fine. He stepped closer. "Then let me help. Let me in, Dana. You don't even let me touch you." "That's not true," I said, but even as I said it, I flinched when he reached for my hand. He pulled back slowly, like I'd burned him. I looked at him confused, worried, trying. And all I could think was, it was supposed to be romantic. Jordan had picked the place, a cozy little Italian bistro tucked into a quiet side street, the kind with string lights, brick walls, and soft jazz humming through the air. He even made a reservation, something he hadn't done in months. "I thought it'd be nice," he said when he pulled out my chair. "You've been working so hard. Figured we deserved a real night out." I nodded, smiling like my face wasn't already aching. I kept adjusting the strap of my dress, tugging at the neckline, trying to feel at ease in skin that hadn't felt like mine in weeks. Maybe months. He ordered a bottle of wine without asking. I hated that wine. He forgot. Or maybe never knew. We made small talk. I asked about his shift. He told me about a little boy who came in with a broken arm and left grinning. I smiled at the right moments, laughed when he did, twirled my pasta while my stomach churned. Then he reached for my hand across the table, held it, and for a second, just a second, I wanted to lean in, to feel what I used to feel. But the warmth didn't come. Instead, I looked at him and saw every moment I'd faked it. Every quiet dinner with a stranger who listened better. Every night I returned home full and glowing, only to force myself into affection I no longer craved. "You okay?" Jordan asked. "I'm fine," I said automatically. But my voice cracked. He squeezed my hand. "You don't seem fine." And then I broke. "I'm not fine, Jordan," I snapped, louder than I meant to. "I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm pretending all the time and you don't even notice." He blinked, stunned. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about us," I whispered harshly, trying to hold back tears. "I don't feel connected anymore. I feel like we're acting out some script of what we think a relationship should be, but it's all just routine." His face tightened. "So what? You don't love me anymore?" "I don't know," I said. Too honest. Too raw. "I want to. I keep trying to. But I feel empty, Jordan. And you, every time you touch me, it feels like you're asking for something I don't have to give." He pulled his hand back. Slowly, deliberately. "You're saying I'm the problem?" he asked, voice low. "That I've done something wrong by loving you the way I know how?" I shook my head. "It's not just you. It's me. It's everything. I feel like I'm disappearing." And then the worst part came out, completely unplanned. I've been going out with other men. Not sleeping with them. Just dinner. Just attention. Jordan stared at me like I'd just spoken a different language. "You've been what?" I wanted to crawl under the table. I wanted to take it back. But it was out now, hanging in the air like smoke. "I didn't cheat," I whispered. "I just needed to feel seen again." He didn't speak for a long time. Just sat there, jaw clenched, staring past me like I wasn't even there. I wiped my eyes with the cloth napkin. People at the next table were trying not to stare. He finally stood up, pulled out his wallet, tossed a few bills on the table. "You can pay your own damn bill," he said quietly. Then he walked out. And just like that, the weight of everything I'd been denying came crashing down. I sat there frozen, heart pounding, cheeks burning. I stared at the untouched food, the wine I didn't want, the chair across from me that used to hold safety. All I could think was, what the hell did I just do? The silence came first. Not the kind that fills the air after a fight, hot, charged, temporary. This was colder, thicker. The kind that settled into our walls and poured into our shared routines like cement. Jordan didn't yell after that night at the restaurant. He didn't accuse me, didn't pack a bag, didn't block my number. He came home from his shifts like clockwork. He cooked dinner. He folded his scrubs. But the way he moved through the apartment was different. He didn't hum in the shower anymore. He didn't touch my back when he walked by. He didn't kiss my forehead goodnight. And the worst part? He still remembered to buy the oat milk. That detail gutted me. I started staying later at work. Not because I had to. Just to delay walking into our one-bedroom tomb of eye contact and unsaid things. When I did come home, I tiptoed through the kitchen like a stranger. One night, I found him sitting on the floor of the living room, his back against the couch, drinking straight from a bottle of ginger ale. Not beer. Not whiskey. Just ginger ale. He looked so tired. Long day? I asked softly. He didn't look at me when he answered. Kid-coded during his lunch. We brought him back, but yeah. Long day. I wanted to sit beside him. Say I'm sorry. Say I miss you. But I stayed in the doorway instead. We slept in the same bed every night. But it may as well have been two separate countries. He curled away. I faced the ceiling. I missed him. Not just the touch or the comfort. I missed the way he used to look at me like I was the best part of his day. I missed making him laugh. I missed his stupid dancing while folding laundry. I missed being us, even when we were messy. But I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know if I even deserved to. Because while he was saving lives and cooking dinner, I was lying to his face and letting men I didn't care about hold the parts of me I'd withdrawn from him. Not my body, but my presence, my attention, my charm, the parts that matter. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at me when he thought I wasn't paying attention. And it wasn't anger in his eyes. It was hurt. Like I had carved a hole in something sacred and then expected him to pretend it didn't bleed. One night, I heard him crying in the shower. Not loud. Just that choked, barely their kind of sound. And it broke something in me. I sat on the edge of our bed after he went to sleep. My chest felt like it was collapsing in on itself. I watched the slow rise and fall of his breathing, the little crease between his eyebrows that stayed even in rest. He didn't deserve any of this. And I didn't know if love could survive it. I pressed my hand to my mouth and cried as quietly as I could. Because I wanted him. Not just the version I missed, but the man he still was, flawed, soft, tired, but trying. Even after everything, he hadn't left. The next morning, I stood at the kitchen counter holding a cup of coffee that had long gone cold. And I asked myself one question. Do I try, really try, to fix this? Or do I let him go before I break him even more? And I still didn't have an answer. It was a Tuesday. Gray skies. The kind of day that feels like a held breath. I came home earlier than usual. No more fake meetings or after-hours desk time to avoid him. I was tired of the silence. Tired of waiting for the universe to fix what I had broken. Jordan was in the kitchen, stirring something in a pot. The smell of tomato and garlic filled the air, his signature comfort food. He didn't look up when I walked in. I didn't know if you'd want any, he said quietly. But I made enough. I stood there for a second, watching the way his shoulders moved. He looked smaller. Older. The heaviness between us had aged him. I do, I said. Thank you. We sat at the table like two people on a first date. Or a last one. Just the clinking of silverware, the slow sips of water, the occasional glance that lingered too long. Halfway through, I couldn't take it anymore. Jordan, I said, setting my fork down, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a hypocrite or selfish, or, he looked up. Just say it. I swallowed. I miss you. And I know I don't deserve a clean slate. I know I hurt you. But I miss us. And if there's any part of you that wants to try, I'll do the work. The real work. Not just dinners and apologies. His face stayed unreadable. That same calm mask he wore at the hospital when families asked if their loved ones were going to make it. I don't know if I can be what you need anymore, he said. It feels like you stopped needing me a long time ago. You started looking for something I didn't even know was missing. I blinked away the sting behind my eyes. I didn't stop needing you. I just forgot how to tell you what I needed. He looked down at his plate, then back at me. Do you even know what that is now? I hesitated, then nodded slowly. I need space, but also closeness. I need touch that doesn't expect anything. I need to be able to say no without you thinking it means I don't love you. And what do I get? He asked, voice low but firm. Because I need things too, Dana. I nodded. Tell me. I want to listen this time. He sat back in his chair. Let the silence stretch between us. And then, like letting out a breath he'd been holding for weeks, he said, I need to feel like I'm wanted. Not just tolerated. I need you to look at me like I matter. Even on the days you don't feel it. I can do that, I whispered. Or, I can learn how. He gave a small, sad smile. It's going to take time. I know. That night, he didn't kiss me. But after we both got into bed, he reached out and touched my hand under the blanket. Just a brush of fingers. But it felt like a rope thrown into deep water. And I clung to it. We didn't speak. We didn't cuddle. But we fell asleep facing each other for the first time in weeks. And even though it wasn't resolution, it was something. The first brick, maybe, after the collapse. Direct address, the woman speaking, softly, honestly, maybe into her phone late at night, maybe just to herself. I used to think love was something you either had or didn't. That it was this steady flame, and if it started to dim, it meant something was broken, maybe you, maybe him, maybe the whole damn thing. I thought desire was proof of connection. That if the chemistry faded, so did the meaning. But now I know, love is more like a language. And we all speak it in slightly different dialects. I didn't cheat. Not technically. But I betrayed something. Something real. I let strangers fill the silence that had grown between me and the man I swore I loved. I let their attention hold me up because I didn't know how to ask him to see me again, not just as his girlfriend, or his partner, or the woman beside him at dinner, but as someone craving more than just routine touches and assumed intimacy. Because here's the thing no one tells you, when you stop feeling desired, it chips away at your sense of self. And when you're not ready to face that, when you're too ashamed to admit that your needs don't make you weak, you start looking for shortcuts. Mine came in the form of drinks I didn't need and conversations I pretended were harmless. Little dinners where I could be flirty, light, uncomplicated. A performance, really. But one that made me feel wanted, if only for a night. And when I got exposed, when my coworker let the truth slip and Jordan found out, I watched something in him close. Not like a door slamming, more like a slow, steady shutting of the heart. The worst part wasn't him walking out of that restaurant. It wasn't paying the bill with shaking hands and no appetite. It was watching the man who once looked at me like I was everything, start looking at me like I was just someone he used to know. And I can't blame him. But if there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that intimacy isn't just about sex, or touches, or shared beds. It's about being known. It's about feeling safe enough to say, I don't feel seen, and trusting the other person to hear you without shutting down. But I do know this. I will never again confuse being wanted with being loved. I will never again let my loneliness wear lipstick and sit across the table from men who only see the surface. And I will never again expect someone to read my silence as a cry for help. Next time, whether it's with Jordan or someone new, I'll speak up. Even if my voice shakes. Even if I'm scared. Even if it means risking the comfort of illusion for the rawness of truth. Because real connection? It doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with being brave enough to be seen. E2.